Pretty Little Liars, the TV show, sometimes deals with disturbing and problematic topics. We provide a list of content warnings in the episode description.
I'm Emily.
I'm Brenton.
And I'm the giggles today. It's so bad.
It's the new year. Happy New Year,
It's a
everybody.
new year and it's a new season.
That's right. Look at that lining up.
Serendipitous.
I know. Look, all the couple breaks, one break that we took ended up working out schedule-wise. Perfect.
Yeah. We aligned this up perfectly with the new year. And you know what comes with a new year? A new season. And that's season 4. And it's about to get fucking weird.
I'm excited.
You've already met Tippi the bird?
Yes. I've heard vague references of just like Tippi the bird.
Well, I mean, it's just, you've already seen Tippi the bird. Like, do you not see how that's a little strange? That it's giving us a whistle tone for the keypad?
Yeah. Well, this is this is Twin Peaks, baby. This is
Well, I mean, she had to start pulling from things.
Yeah, whatever that bird's name is. I can't remember it. You know, so I'm used to this. You give me a bird with crucial plot details, like I'm all in. Comes riding in with Jessica DeLaurentis. But so I'm here for Tippi the bird.
Tippi the bird. Twin Peaks. Terrifying.
Yes, I'm all here for a bird with crucial plot details.
I mean, Tippi's got something. Is it a crucial plot detail? I don't know.
It's a phone number.
It is a phone number. Whose phone number?
It's Ashley's.
I thought Ashley's phone number was the one that called Wilden.
Yep. Wrong.
I was like, no.
We'll find out. Yeah. Wrong.
Are you ready to get into your recap?
I'm doing Tippi.
You hate birds.
I do, but I don't have to interact with this bird, so I'm all for it.
That's fair. That's fair.
I would never want to be the person that had to hold on to Tippi the bird.
You wouldn't be Tippi's like handler or Tippi's bestie.
No,
you wouldn't be the person who was walking around with Tippi all day.
No,
that's fair.
I'm not the. If Tippi has one fan, it'd be me.
If Tippi has no fans, you're dead.
That means I'm dead. Yeah.
You're not a diehard for Tippi.
In a sense, I am. Yeah. I like Tippi.
If you had to pick between Jenna's one-time only seeing eye dog and Tippi the bird, who are you picking?
For the show, Tippi.
For you personally,
I'll take the German Shepherd. Yeah, we kick off season 4. We will be going up into just for some housekeeping, we'll be doing up to the mid-season finale, then watching the Halloween episode, which is a soft oh my god, what do you call the pilots that are inside shows?
A backdoor pilot.
Backdoor pilot for
I pulled that. Can you believe?
I know, thank you so much. For Ravenswood. And then we'll be taking a pause from season 4, watching all of Ravenswood, and then coming back to season 4. So get your Ravenswood sorted. I think you probably have to buy it off like Tubi or something at this point. But we'll, as we get closer,
or maybe you don't and just listen to us recap it.
Or, you know, if you can't find it streaming, there are probably places to find it download.
Most of the clips are on YouTube at this point too.
Yeah, sure. But I mean, you know, if you want to watch along and do the whole thing, which, you know, more power to you. There are probably ways to find those. Especially, yeah. Especially
you could find it.
You know, especially if places aren't going to like actually help you out and make it easy to stream. So with that, I will now get into the episode summary for episode 72, season 4, episode 1. A is for ALIVE. We open.
I always read it as A is for alive, but it totally is spelled out. So I just I've never said that episode title out loud. And I've only ever read it.
Right.
Like I never listened to anyone talk about it. So I was
but since it's like dashes.
Yeah. Huh.
Because isn't L is for LOVE? Isn't that what it's like supposed to reference to? That's right. Open on the group, opening up the trunk from the end of the season.
He's putting so many things together, and I'm like,
Sure.
he's playing chess. I'm playing jump rope.
No follow-up. We open on the group, opening up the trunk from the end of the season 3 finale and finding a dead pig in the trunk. Turns out it was just nothing, maybe? Who knows? Mona then disappears, and the friends think she set them up, but then they see that she's in the front seat of the car. The other friends go to get the hell out of there, but Hannah stays behind to see what she's doing. Mona says that she's saving Hannah's mom and is messing with the car computer. Mona removes the hard drive, and then they all get in the car and leave. Later, they watch the news at Spencer's house, and Spencer says there's only one story on the lodge, but nothing about Wilden's car. Mona stresses the cops won't come to find them, and Aria gets in her face and mad at her. Emily steps in to break them apart, and Mona says, "You used to be the weakest link. Now look at what I've made you." Emily then goes to attack her, and Hannah stops her. They wonder how Mona got the car out of the lake, and Mona's like, "I didn't do that. I put it in Hannah's garage, and that was the last I saw of it." They then go into an interrogation scene. I'll get more on this after the episode summary, but essentially here's the bits of information we find out. Shauna knew Jenna before, and they're both afraid of Melissa. Cece came to Radley, and Mona thought it was Allison. She was had higher med dosage at that time, but doesn't remember what they actually talked about. Lucas is the one that gave Emily the massage. Mona recruited Toby when he got the job in Bucks County, and she didn't push Ian off the bell tower, but wish she knew who did. The next morning, Hannah wakes up, which now, him being in a black hoodie, the person being in a black hoodie, we all kind of wonder, are they part of the A-team? The next morning, Hannah wakes up in the living room and sees Mona gone. The rest of the friends wake up and they wonder if Mona drugged them to go to sleep because they don't remember. Mona then comes back in with coffee and had borrowed Emily's car with keys that she had made. Hannah wonders where she went and where the hard drive is. Mona says, "I want to find out who Redcoat is. I can't just give it back to you just yet, but we can work together." Spencer says, "Give us everything you have then," and Mona agrees to take him to the lair. The group is driving over there, and they drive by the police car and see a big police presence around the area. The wind blows, revealing that Wilden is dead on the ground and was covered with tarp. Mona says she knows what the text meant of "you're mine now" from A, and Spencer says A has must have a way of making it look like that we killed Wilden. We then cut to the lodge, completely burnt, and firemen working through the rubble. And we see Toby in the woods watching them, holding onto the lighter that he found at his feet. The fireman cleans up and finds a red coat. The group is in the mobile A layer. They wonder why a red coat would save them, and Mona says to set us up. We see someone watching them from outside the RV. They find the Phantom of the Opera mask, and Mona says, "Hannah, we almost had our first kiss." Aria says, "You almost killed me that night," and Mona says, "It wasn't me, I can prove it." She shows them a video that she took of the night when Aria was already in the box. We see that Wilden was the Queen of Hearts, talking with someone saying plans have changed. They are also in a Halloween costume. And Wilden says Garrett's going to tell them everything. The friends then ask who Wilden is talking to, and Mona says, "That's your sister, Spencer." The video then stops, and Spencer's like, "Oh, isn't that convenient?" And Mona's like, "No, it's not supposed to do that. Someone is hacking into my computer and deleting all my files," and we see all the files being removed. They hear kids' voices outside saying, "Allison, come out, wherever you are." They get out of the RV and see kids playing on a carousel. And they all have dolls. Aria asks where the girls got the dolls they're holding, and they say, "Your friend Allison gave them to us." And they show off all the dolls that are matching each of their friends, and they name them off like, "This one's Aria, this one's Hannah." They say she started playing with us right after Mona moved in. Hannah is talking on the phone and hangs up. Emily asks who that was, and Hannah says it was Mona. She wants us to meet up tonight to empty the RV. Emily is skeptical about Mona still, but Hannah's more accepting. Pam then comes into the room saying no one can get anything done at the station because everybody's mourning Wilden. They have some witnesses, but she's not sure what the witness even saw. She has a gift basket on her that is for Jessica DeLaurentis, who is moving back to Rosewood and into the old house. It's just a rotating DeLaurentis place.
And Mrs. Fields always sends a gift basket.
That's right. Mrs. Fields would. Well, the company, and Pam. Pam leaves to go answer.
Not spawn.
Delicious Mrs. Fields cookies. I can't eat them anymore. I'm celiac.
And I'm allergic to peanuts. We're making a really great
nothing
case.
fucking better for our house. She would die and I'd go to the hospital. Pam leaves to go to answer the phone. Hannah says maybe she isn't sad anymore. Mona isn't sad anymore because she knows what we know. And I definitely saw Allie pull us out of the fire. Spencer and Toby dig through the lodge wreckage, and Toby can't find the red coat where it was left. Spencer goes inside the lodge against Toby's warning that it's not safe. They search inside, and Spencer's wonder if it was Allison that saved them, and that if she brought people here, maybe she's ready to come home. Toby isn't so sure. Spencer sees someone move in the lodge and warns Toby they aren't alone. They chase after the shadow, but can't find anybody. Emily stops by the DeLaurentis move as Jessica greets her and gives her the gift basket. Jason is down south renovating their grandma's place. Jessica gets Emily to help with moving boxes of Allison's things inside. Emily notices that Jessica kept all of her things, and Jessica says it's what Allison would have wanted. Hannah and Emily talk on the phone about Jessica recreating Allison's room, and Hannah wonders if she's readying Allison's return. And Emily's like, this seems more like that she's trying to keep her daughter like frozen in amber. Hannah arrives to help Mona dump the RV in the middle of nowhere, and it's going to be like locked up behind like some fence. Mona locks it up behind the gate, and Hannah asks if it'll be okay there. Mona says yes, and Hannah notices she has keys in her hand. Hannah says there's things in there that would take us down, and Mona says, I haven't thought of us as a we in a long time. Remember how it used to be, Hannah? Our trip to Paris. Actually, that was Allison.
They didn't go to Paris.
Our shoplifting.
Yeah, they stole sunglasses. Get it together.
Remember the rush.
Yeah,
Aria...
when Mona got you in trouble for stealing sunglasses when you stole them with Mona.
Sus from the beginning. So many signs I missed. Aria's at the brew as Fitz walks in. She tries to avoid him and get up, but he stops her to say hi. She wonders aloud how they should interact now. Fitz is like, well, I got offered a full-time job at Rosewood. It's going to be harder. Aria's like, it'd be easier not to see you if I didn't have to see you all the time. He's
also,
like,
get his ass fired.
Yeah, he's like, well, I have a family now, you know. And Aria mentions that she's not ready to like move on yet. Get the fuck out of there.
I don't like him.
Yeah, I don't either.
Just in case you didn't know.
Everybody, if you happen to this is your first episode, one thing you need to know: we don't like Fitz.
Also, welcome to season 4.
I mean, you know, I guess start at the beginning of the season. Maybe this is your favorite season. Spencer and Toby read the paper and have breakfast. Wilden was shot in a different location than where the body was found, and at the same time they're at the lodge. She worries about setting them up for the fire at the lodge. They have a nice moment being a couple again. Toby gets a text with his mom's picture that says, bet you miss her every day, signed from A. Spencer asks if everything's okay, and Toby lies. It was a lead on a new job.
I just want to interject really quick here to get it out of my system. So without Mona, A's copy in her texts or their texts, way down. It is not good. Mona was the A-team copywriter, and I will die on this.
Right.
So you can tell if they're not from Mona when they're written so poorly. That's my theory.
When it's just like cutting to the chase and it's not like, Mrs. Mommy Dearest, I know some of her secrets or something like that.
I will tell the cops what your mom keeps in the lasagna box.
Your techno boy toy.
Yeah.
But now it's just like, you loved your mom, didn't you?
She's dead.
Yeah.
You already knew.
Wonder what happened, Tobes. Emily and Aria discuss Wilden. See, it's like if I wrote it. Emily and Aria discuss Wilden, and Emily discuss Wilden, and Emily wonders what to tell Paige about this. Aria isn't paying any attention to this, like not being there for her friend at all, and is staring at Fitz, who's in school. Emily's like, I support you and Fitz, but maybe you should have some fun this year and like be with someone you can actually date. Aria notices the principal looking at her, and she's like, oh my God, like tries to cover and like pretend like she wasn't staring at Fitz. Hannah meets Mona in the school hall. Hannah can't sleep because of Wilden and A. Mona says, be careful, Hannah, if you start using us again and we, I feel like we can be friends again. Hannah says she misses her. Mona says, I can cancel my study group if you want to go shopping. And Hannah says yes. Aria then gets called over the loudspeaker to the vice principal's office as she awkwardly exchanges glances with Fitz in the hallway. Aria nervously waits in the hall before getting called in. The principal then says, calls her in and says, I gave you a chance to tell the truth, but you lied. You're sleeping with your teacher, and I received an anonymous tip from a concerned student, and shows her photos of her and Fitz making out. He called her parents, and he gets...
I believe it's them in bed in his house.
Yes. He calls... I think you're exactly right.
I don't think they're just making out.
What else were they doing? He calls her parents, and the principal gets the call.
A very healthy, happy marriage.
That's right. I mean, they have the 2 beds across from it's like I Love Lucy beds.
That's what we sleep in?
That's right. Side by side. You're like, can we push the beds together tonight? I'm like, no, that wouldn't be right.
Right. What will the viewers think?
Good Lord. The principal had called Aria's parents, and he gets a call while they're sitting there, and he's like, yes, I just got confirmation that he's in custody. Tells her it's illegal for a teacher to have sex with a minor. She runs down,
as it should be.
Yes. She runs downstairs and finds him being led away by the police. We then snap back to Aria outside the vice principal's office again, as we realize it was just a daydream. The vice principal then hands her papers for her mom since she's out sick. Aria texts Fitz and says that she wants to see other people. Paige shows Emily Stanford where she's going on scholarship to swim and wants her to come with her. Paige is like, we can start over there and away from A in beautiful California. Emily says, yes, I want to go, and tells Paige she loves her. They kiss, and Paige says, I love you too. Hannah and Mona arrive back from shopping at the Marin house. Hannah doesn't let Mona bring clothes up to her room. Mona then asks about Caleb and asks if he's found his dad. But Hannah says he has bad cell service up at his aunt's cabin, so she hasn't been able to talk to him. Mona says there hasn't been anyone in my life since Noel. They said awkwardly. Hannah says, I had fun today, and Mona says, no, you didn't. I know you're trying to pretend to be my friend. Mona then gives Hannah the hard drive and says, I really loved you once, and I really was your friend. Understandable why Hannah may not want to be friends.
Yes, although, a little sus, Mona.
Although, we love Mona in this house. We get a POV shot of someone watching Paige and Emily as Emily kisses Paige goodbye. We see that it's Jenna. It's like a POV shot where you can kind of see it's a little blurry, so Jenna's vision going.
They got artsy.
Yes, they did. Jenna asks for her for a favor and says, Darren was a friend of mine. We met when I came to town. Ugh. And can't believe he's dead. Jenna says, if anything happens to me, give Toby a message. Emily asks why something would happen, and Jenna says, it seems like anyone who saw Allie that night is waking up dead. And that Garrett told her, and then...
Is waking up dead?
Is waking up dead, yeah. All
right.
That's a phrase.
I just, my brain wants to be winding up dead, I'm not saying it's wrong. I might have said it in the episode.
Is it a phrase? I said it with so much confidence.
Google it. You keep going.
Please Google it. Emily is then it makes it sound like Wilden saw Allison that night, and Jenna said, Garrett told me that he did. Emily notices that she has a nasty burn on her hand. And asks Jenna about this. Jenna just says, just tell Toby I never meant to hurt him. Spencer looks out her window across to the DeLaurentis house and sees Jessica just staring out the window right back. Spencer's tablet then beeps, and she finds a message from A with a picture of Wilden's obituary attached. Closed caskets keep secrets. His is open and exposes yours. Kisses, bitches. Flash forward to Wilden's funeral, and the town has all gathered. The friends arrive. Hannah wonders if A would put something in the casket. Aria notices someone in a veil walk into the church. Spencer says there must be something that's incriminating us because of that message. Emily says it's just a setup, if something bad will happen. And Spencer says we have to follow up on it. They enter the church and look around for a place where the casket would be. And Aria goes to, and they all split up to go find where the room is. That would be held. Aria then goes to approach Fitz and see he's with Maggie talking to the vice principal. Spencer goes in a back room and finds a casket. She hears a phone ring, but notices it isn't hers. Mona then steps from the shadows and says, "It looks like we got the same A message." The phone rings again, and they notice it's coming from the casket. They lift the lid and search around, and Spencer finds a phone with missed calls from 2 numbers. One is blocked, and the other is Kisses. Spencer redials, and Hannah redials Kisses, and Hannah picks up, asking why she's calling on her mom's phone. The group is gathered, and Hannah says she called Ashley from her mom from the hotel that morning, so she hasn't heard from her since. Jessica walks over and says they all look pretty, and Hannah's done a really good job of keeping the weight off. Good Lord. She asks them to come sit next to her. There's no room for Mona, though, and Mona has to go sit alone. Jenna walks in with a guy we don't know yet and sits down. The veiled woman then sits down behind them. Toby is driving the A lair and looks at a text from A that says, "I know what happened to your mom. Bring the lair, and you'll know too." Toby looks sad and has a flashback. Allison is in Toby's room, and we'll come back to this. I'm almost done with the summary. Allison is in Toby, just young Toby. Oh. Allison is in Toby's room, and he stops her from grabbing his trucks. They grab hands, and she says, "I know you want to kiss me." And they go to kiss, but his mom interrupts them, asking if he's home already. Toby's like, "It's 4 o'clock. Are you okay?" She's like, "I'm just tired." Toby says, "I think something is going on with you." She leaves, and Allison asks if she just woke up today. Toby says, "I think something's wrong." And Allison's like, "Yeah, she's lazy." Toby's then like, "You gotta go. You can't be saying that." And Allison calls him a loser. Back in the present, Toby gets out of the A layer and walks back down the road and cries. The friends leave the church as they see the person in the veil leave. A man stops them and introduces himself as Officer Holdbrook. And him and his partner are investigating the death of Wilden and Officer Reynolds. He agrees with the girls that Wilden's behavior was over the line and was especially targeting them, and asks why they would come to his funeral then. Emily says to support the local police department. Holbrook says, we'll probably bring you in for questioning, but remember, we're the good guys. He leaves, and they all get a text from A that says, "The truth won't set you free, bitches." As Mona walks up and finishes the text that says, "I'm going to bury you with it." They then see the video that was sent of the night that was sent along with the message. There was the night they stopped by Wilden's muddy car. The gloved hand finishes a doll in a black hoodie and puts it with the rest of the other dolls representing the friends in the little house. We see it was the person in the veil, and they were wearing an Allison mask underneath, which is burned on one side. The end. This end scene, it was also noted as I was trying to grasp for reviews and things, which was not helpful. Wikipedia, looking at you. But very reminiscent. They had a couple quotes of it reminded people of season 1. No reference, but it definitely reminds me in structure of season 1 of being at the leaving the church with getting the text and then the zoom out and everything there.
Wake up the dead. Wake up dead. Sorry, not wake up the dead. That's a different phrase. There is a Wiktionary thing that says to die in one's sleep. It's also in some rock song and a song from the 80s.
So not a common phrase I was... But
there's also Wake Up Dead that's a movie that's going to be coming out, I believe.
Oh.
Yeah.
There's Waking the Dead, which is a movie.
Yeah, but this was more modern, a movie that's coming out came out in 2022.
Gotcha.
So is
Waking the Dead the Scorsese movie?
I don't know.
I think that's what it's called, Waking the Dead. And it's about, I think it's about paramedic driver. So,
yeah,
nice stuff.
Yeah. Well, long story short, maybe she said it.
Yeah.
But we learned something. Do you want to talk quickly about young Toby because you were holding back your thoughts?
Yeah, and I'm assuming it's not on your questions.
No, I didn't. I don't even bother.
It's when we were watching it, I turned to you. I'm like, I don't like this at all. There's something very uncomfortable about when you have someone play an adult play young. He's supposed to be 12 or 13, right?
I think he's just supposed to be. I think it's
really
supposed to be right before she leaves. He's older than them, so he's just not cool. But
they have him play young, where he's just he's very naive, and like, oh gee shucks, like,
Mm-hmm.
oh yeah, those are my trucks, and like Allison is just playing Allison. And that's not the issue, but it's really, I find it really like unsettling when like an adult plays like that, and they put him in this like striped shirt, supposed to make him look young, and it's just like, I don't like any of this. This is very uncomfortable.
Yeah, it's
I
weird.
didn't like it at all. Like, please don't do this again. Just have Toby act like slightly younger, because they don't do that for any of the other girls. Like when they're young, it's just
They dress slightly different.
yeah, and they're more like naive, but they aren't being like, oh cool man, like almost like playing like a 10-year-old 8-year-old. Like
Yeah.
the golf that they had that like Keegan Allen is bringing into the scene is very uncomfortable.
Yeah, it's odd.
Yeah, it's just like slight variations for everybody else, but like Toby is like playing as if he's like much younger, and it's like, yeah, I don't like it.
Okay, well, that's fair. Is Mona lying
About everything.
If
The
she
only-
had to do that Vanity Fair lie detector interview, what's going on for her, you know?
Maybe by like omission of like the complete picture, but I think everything she's telling us is true, and I think that's one of my gripes with this episode is there's important details that come out of that, but they aren't given the same treatment as like bigger reveals, because it's literally just her talking to the camera. It's
People wanted answers, so we're gonna give them all now.
right. It's not even that she's having like a conversation with the girls, like the characters in the scene. It's mostly just like there's a couple like cutaways, but it's really more set up to just be like, hey, you the viewer, here's some of your questions. Like, we didn't really need an answer for who gave Emily the massage. Like, that's not
I think people like were quite like, you know, adamant about that on the internet. But.
right. But in terms of like relevance to the plot and for like something like that doesn't carry the same weight as being
Oh, you know why they did that? It's because it's the only A thing that happened when Mona was A, that she was doing something else at the same time.
right.
So that was the relevance for us as the audience. And well, and them too, because they wouldn't have assumed Mona because she was with Hannah riding horses when Emily got that massage. So I think it does have the impact you needed from it.
And maybe it doesn't for me because like I don't really care about those minor like things when it doesn't like roll
Loose threads are fine with you.
Yeah, like that's not like that doesn't really play into like the wider motivations of like why people are doing things, and so that's why I think as a reveal it's just like, okay, it's information. Like someone had to do it, and we know that these people are implicated in these things, so you could hazard a guess it could be any of one of these people. I don't really need closure on that.
I feel like we did need it for Emily, though.
It hasn't played a factor since it happened.
Well, she hasn't talked about it, but that doesn't mean, you know, like it's.
But it hasn't been in the forefront of the show that.
Yeah.
It hasn't been in the show at all either. And also, I think, again, just the way it's like doled out, it's like speaking directly to camera. It just seems like it's more, here's what you've been asking for. Here's some info. Just like kind of dumped out you. And I'm like, well, like, why should I care? Essentially, it's like, all right, we're moving on to the next thing. It feels to me like they're just like, all right, let's clean off the board. Like,
I think it's just to close some loose threads. I don't think it's like particularly well done. Like, I don't think it's a great piece of television. Like, I don't.
yeah.
But I think they needed it because they had too many loose threads and too many things that were open that like the fan base at the time, and like as someone who was like actively watching like right around this time because I joined during season 3, like it was too much. And you waited so long for no information that people started to get like mad and like annoyed. And like, I think that kind of gave at least like, hey, we are going to give answers. Here's some now.
Yeah.
But we're going to give more and better later. I mean, is that true? Who's just
yeah. And I think that's maybe getting to a wider gripe of how I also used to watch these shows. And I think the way that that like search for answers and of everything, I think is kind of does a disservice to these kind of shows because it's all about the puzzle box. So when you're just kind of getting answers kind of thrown at you willy-nilly, that's like not what I'm here for.
But when you watched these,
what does that give me as an answer?
When you watched these when they were live, because I think that way now, like now I enjoy the ride.
Yeah.
But at the time, I was like, I need some answers because I'm not able to follow this. I don't know where it's going anymore. So I feel like at the time I preferred more like info dump closing the loop, and like now I'm like, we don't need to.
Right.
So I see why you're like,
Yeah, exactly. If I had watched this episode 10 years ago when this came out, different story. But I think it's it's just the way that I don't think like works for me as much with like these kinds of shows, and especially not to keep going back to the Lucas one, but it's like we already know that Lucas was working with them, so that doesn't add anything else.
I think because he violated her personal space, like that one to me is important to have closure on.
Okay,
because it's physical,
right? But
and you were very bothered by it in the episode, so I think people held on to that, like because we've watched them so like it's almost like a trauma. You've watched it so quickly and so much that you didn't have time to like sit in like the discomfort of some of those, and I think some of those stuck around with people. And so that's why they did these kind of close the loop closure moments.
I think my bigger gripe with that is like, okay, are you going to do anything with this? Because I did really find that was like a big impact, but like. Maybe if you do something in the future with it, I'll feel different. But like as of right now, just like throwing that out, is this all just going to be forgotten the next week? Then what's the point? Because if you aren't going to like actually really address it, it'll just be like, oh, Lucas is even really more gross, but like you don't do anything with it. It's just kind of like a waste in my mind.
Hold on to it.
Okay.
Hold it.
Okay.
Keep it.
Yeah. So maybe I'll feel different, but I feel this would have been better served as like doled out, where it's just like scene impact of like, now we're going to talk about Melissa. Now these are all just like, maybe we'll get to these later. Like Melissa doesn't even factor into these 2 episodes. Well, and that's like one of the biggest things there.
Is she the other Queen of Hearts?
Right. But then it's all put on the back burner and stuff. So I'm just kind of like, this could have been at a better doled out, I guess. Given more impact.
But is Melissa the other Queen of Hearts?
Oh, I would assume so.
Okay.
Although it's really I'm trying to do the thing of not overcomplicating water with my theories. I got burned by that last time.
You had like a full, I was like, I mean, I guess maybe they are aligned. I don't know. Like maybe he gets it better than I did.
So I'm trying to be like, okay, at least keep in the running that like the shortest, maybe the most obvious answer does mean that it could be them.
Who killed Wilden? We know who it's alluding towards, and that it's more in the second episode.
But yeah, because I don't. If I'm again thinking of team A and team B or whatever, I would think it would fall into more team A because it seems like he was very involved with team B. And if there is that avenging angel kind of coming around, which it very much seems like it actually is, of people coming and like the ghost of Christmas past, giving them all.
Allison is the ghost of Christmas past, like with the like, oh, we think it's her, you know, like.
So I mean, it could be Allison. It's right. It's all pointing toward that. Like Ashley was out there, like putting 2 in the back of his head. Maybe Ashley was just
in her fucking, what shoes were they? Manolo Blancs.
Yeah. She didn't. She was at a conference. She wasn't bringing her like stomping shoes.
Do you think
Ashley killing shoes?
Stomping shoes?
No, probably not. I don't think her or Hannah have hiking boots or regular shoes. Probably.
No.
Well, they probably have like fashion
or like some tennis shoes for when they work out.
Yeah, totally. But maybe if I'm thinking of Team A who isn't around, possibly Cece could have done it, or Jason. I hope we get more Jason soon.
We'll get more Jason eventually. We see Jason again. He's got like 3 more haircuts we have to go through.
Beautiful.
You haven't gotten to Jesus Jason yet.
No, I think that was like the first picture you maybe showed of like the new one. From season 1, I should say. He is our Jason.
The replacement Jason.
Yeah. Canonical Jason. I mean, who even remembers season 1 Jason with brown hair? Not I. That he had the
DeLaurentis wouldn't have a brown hair child.
No.
Who are the creepy little children at the trailer park?
I'm assuming that they're like kids that live at the trailer park. This one seems like a Cece's, but then.
So do you think Cece's going around telling everyone she's Allison?
Yeah.
Cool.
And I'm thinking part of that could be the way that Mona says, Cece visited me and like I thought it was Allison, but it could also literally be like Melissa going up there and be like, fuck with them. My name is Allison. Shauna could be doing this too. Especially if they're keeping track. Maybe it's actually more likely that it'd be Team B. Because like if they're tracking Mona, and working against them and trying to fuck with them, that like they could be like stopping by. So I can see Shauna coming by and keeping an eye on them.
Why is Allie's mom back?
I couldn't figure that out too. It's like, are her and Mr. DeLaurentis on the outs? They having a rough time?
Oh, maybe.
And so like maybe Jessica's come back here to get away from him, or she's having a tough time. I don't think it's the readying Allison's return that
was it Hannah?
I think that might have been Hannah. Yeah. That was alluding to that, because I think if Allison is alive, her parents don't know. So I would assume that like some trouble in River City is happening with the family, whether that's marriage or like weird things with money. And then, you know, feeding the fire is like her wanting to keep her daughter's memory alive by preserving all her things. And that's just like feeding the fire.
Who was in the burned down lodge with Spencer and Toby?
I want to say that was probably like one of the Team B people, following back up and like trying to find info on Redcoat. Or possibly Mona working on her own. Because Mona is doing, I think, maybe I'll get burned by this, you know. I am more inclined to think that Mona is being more upfront with them, even if she is still like, I got to do things, I got to go my own way. But I do think she is doing a lot of things that she's not telling the friends. So when I was mentioning like lying by omission, she's probably just not telling them the full picture, but giving them very specific responses to answers or to questions. Very specific answers to questions. They ask about Shauna and Jenna. She tells them about Shauna and Jenna, and that's about it.
So do you think Hannah should befriend Mona again then?
Yeah, absolutely.
Absolutely. Boss babe.
Yes, 100%. Bring it back in. Will she get burned by this? Probably, but I still think she should befriend her. I think being close to Mona is one of the exciting things about this season. Even if we're getting like a little bit like, you know, our queen is like kind of like toned down from like being a boss babe, but like I hope that picks back up. I don't like, you know, muted apologetic Mona, but I do think she is in as much danger as we think she is in. So I think befriending Mona is a good way of having another ally with more knowledge than you have.
Did Mona
keep one eye on her still, but like, you know, be friendly.
Fair enough.
Open up a little bit more.
Did Mona give Hannah the only copy of the car footage?
No, I would love to think so, but like, Mona's too smart to not have that like in her back pocket for like some reason. So I think she's got to have one on her hard drive.
I think so too. Do you think Paige and Emily are going to actually get to go to Stanford together?
No. I'm like, oh no, this is like at the beginning of like in an action movie when like someone's talking about, it's like, yeah, here are my wife and kids. You know, I'm one day from retirement, or like this is my last tour in the war.
Yeah.
You're like, this is doomed. No. You shouldn't be talking about this. And then I think it's next episode too, where they like look at the door mock-ups and stuff. It's like, oh no, this ain't happening. This is doomed. You know, we talked about people dying. And at least I was at least on the mark with like Wilden being up there. Paige, you keep talking like this.
Oh no.
I know.
Oh no.
Paige, you gotta stop talking about the future. That's just, you don't see anybody else on the show doing this. It's just that makes me think of the Adventure Brothers, where there's two henchmen on that show that like they never die, like, you know, they have like plot armor pretty much, and they like someone that's super capable gets partnered up with them, and it's just like, no, you shouldn't be like preparing, you shouldn't be doing anything in this, because like you're just gonna end up dead. Like everybody else does, but we don't.
Oh my god. I love it. What do you think about Mrs. DeLaurentis watching Spencer through the window?
Very scary. Jessica, you all right? What's going on?
Bestie girly pop, what's going on?
I think she probably knows that that Spencer knows about Jason's parentage.
I always forget about Jason's, like, that he's like, I know that Jason's her half brother, but I don't think about how that impacts the parents, his parents specifically. Because they're so minor until now. Right. So that was my first thought, but now as we're sitting there thinking about this, it's like, oh, is it also related to like Allison and being like, the daughter is still alive over there, like her friend, and feeling like weird and like jealous about that like Spencer's still alive. Maybe. Although her daughter certainly was a piece of work. What do you think is the burn or mark on Jenna's hand/wrist?
She was at the lodge.
And what did she do there?
She either hit Toby. She probably hit Toby in the back.
Then how'd she get burnt?
Oh, you think Jenna was the one? I guess Jenna could have been the one that pulled him out.
No. I'm just wondering what the burn has to do with that then, if they were far away from it, if they were with Toby in the woods.
You don't think they tried to go to the lodge after that? I think they went...
While it was still on fire?
No, before it caught fire. Because, wait, when did Toby get hit in the head?
Right before the fire started. Okay, or around the time the fire started. We don't know because we don't really understand the timeline.
Oh, right. I had assumed, and my assumption right now in concocting this scheme, was that the Team B then went to the lodge.
Did Team B start the fire?
Yes.
Okay. So she could have started the fire and burned herself and then ran into Toby and then they dropped the lighter next to him. Okay.
Something like that, yeah.
I was just...
Yeah, because Team B had started the fire. Yeah, cool.
Who is in that black veil?
Melissa? My best guess was Melissa.
Okay.
But then... Okay, because we got the scene at the end. My first guess was Melissa.
Okay.
I was like, bam, it's got to be them. But... I could see Melissa or Cece. Cece being the other one that had some connection to him. The three from the boat, if we're thinking about that.
Okay.
So, potentially there? Potentially Cece or Melissa?
Okay.
Who are menaces off screen? Lucas.
Who came with Jenna to the funeral? Who was that guy?
Yeah, I couldn't figure that out either. Just a new man that she's picked up? I don't know. I could see that. I mean, you know. Jenna,
I can't remember if he holds any significance.
Gotcha, yeah. Jenna seems to date a lot. It's just a new man.
I thought she was dating Shauna. That's what Mona told us.
Right, but is that out in the public?
Oh, I see.
Yeah. How long has she been dating Shauna also? Because when she was with Noel, she ostensibly would have also... She was dating Noel after we had the scene of her at the bench where she's like, I'm so glad I get to see you. And we assume that that's probably Shauna at the end of season 2. So I don't know who this new man is. I don't know him. So we'll probably have some significance that I can't pin down at the moment. Wilden's brother?
Toby's lair. Well, Toby and the lair, not Toby's lair. Why?
I know. Because we
get an explanation.
Yeah. Why Toby doesn't reach out for help again, learn any lessons from last season. It's I'm glad that we get a shorter turnaround on him telling the truth, but like I don't like the backsliding Spoby stuff that we seem to always get, where it's like new season, they're back to keeping secrets. They're back to working on their own again.
Independent, because they do so well at that.
That's the best time to see them.
Last but not least, Aria should see other people.
Yeah, absolutely.
Be young, girly pop.
Yeah.
Don't date your teacher.
No.
If I could give you out there one piece of advice, don't date your teacher.
And Aria has a thing for authority figures.
Yeah, but this guy's at least like in the second. Well, you can get into the next episode. He seems age appropriate.
Right. And also, there's a difference between the teacher you have at school. Yeah, exactly. And the person that you're karate.
Yeah, the 18-year-old boy who teaches karate, or the 23, 24-year-old man who's teaching.
Your teacher, yeah.
Your teacher?
Good Lord. Yeah, I think she just needs to not. And also, when the guy is looking at you and being like, well, I should take the full-time position at your school. Why? Really? I have a family now, Aria. Yeah, she knows.
She kind of found them.
Yes, she did. Who do you have to think about that?
Yeah. Aria's biggest regret should be that she ever talked to his brother. Because he gave her all the information. And then he didn't know. I mean, it's not Wes's fault.
No.
Actually, don't blame Wes.
No, not at all.
Wes just seems like a lost rich boy.
Yes, he is.
I don't have a lot of pity for him, but I get it.
And he's just like, oh, yeah, I thought, your partner that you're close with would have told you.
You know, you have a key to his house. Well,
yeah. Well, he's not telling you everything.
That was my final question or statement. I guess it wasn't really a question. I was just like, Aria shouldn't date her teacher. But she could date her karate coach. Maybe. Yeah. I don't know. Jake.
I know. Jake from State Farm.
I don't think he's wearing khakis.
No.
Do you need to take a pause?
No, I'm all good. If you want to keep going.
Go ahead.
Okay. A rare no pause episode. This is what having a break is like from work. You can just go right into the next one. Isn't that amazing? Having energy.
I'm gonna need a pause if you're this excited about not taking a break.
We're never getting off this ride.
I'm like, goodbye.
We're just gonna steamroll into the next podcast episode.
You haven't watched the episode, thank God.
All right.
Crying in the chair.
Right. Episode 73, season 4, episode 2, Turn of the Shoe. The friends at the brew. The friends are at the brew. They catch up on all the news and they wonder where Melissa has been. Spencer's like, she's in DC interviewing for an internship. They wonder if Melissa was in the Vale, like I did. Spencer and Hannah agree that Allison is still alive, but Emily and Aria is like, no way. Mona comes in saying she was thinking about the Allison question as well, but Hannah thinks Mona planted Ashley's cell phone on Wilden, and so gets up and leaves and is mad at her. Mona asks what else she has to do to prove her innocence and invites them all to look at the RV, and they take her up on it. They go to where the RV was parked and find it gone. Mona is freaked out, saying somebody stole it. The friends then all leave angry. Aria and Emily watch Mona walk to her car while Spencer and Hannah drive away. Mona gets in her car as someone in a hoodie and an Allison mask tries to choke her with a wire from the back seat. Mona gets finally frees herself from the person and throws herself out of the car. Emily and Aria run up to her as the hoodie jumps in the front seat, drives the car around to hit them, and they jump out of the way, and Emily hits her shoulder hard on a rock. Hannah walks downstairs to a text from Aria that says Mona found her car ditched behind the school. She's freaked out. Ashley's back in town, and they hug. Ashley asks how Hannah is, and she's defensive, but says she's okay and went to the funeral. She asks if Ashley thought she had anything to do with Wilden, and Ashley says, didn't cross my mind at all. I think he had more enemies than friends, and one of those people did us all a favor. Hannah gives Ashley back her phone, and Ashley asks where she got it. Hannah says it was in the mailbox, and someone decided to return it. Ashley's like, oh, someone must have found it in the hotel lobby and mailed it. Isn't that nice? Spencer looks through the mail and finds a rejection letter from Penn. Aria tells Hannah about Emily's shoulder injury. Hannah is still mad at Mona and says her mom didn't even blink about her phone being gone, like she knew it was stolen. Hannah asks if Mona didn't plant the phone, then who did? Aria says you can always ask Shauna, or like who did. When if it was like Shauna or Jenna or someone like that, Aria's like, well, you can always ask her yourself, and points out Shauna eating on a park bench by herself. Hannah then rushes up to talk to her. Hannah asks her about Jenna and why she skipped Wilden's funeral. Shauna says, I was at swim practice. Hannah says, more important than seeing an old friend. Shauna's like, what do you mean friend? Hannah says, the friend you and Jenna scraped off the road when he was hit by a car, and Aria pulls her away. Paige shows Emily a virtual dorm room. Doomed. Emily tells her to slow down since she hasn't heard back from Stanford yet. Paige goes to grab Emily's shoulder and she cries out in pain. Emily says, I woke up sore and may not be able to swim tomorrow. Paige is freaked out and is like, you have to swim tomorrow. Emily says it's more sore than anything else. It'll be fine. Toby picks Spencer up for school and is acting shifty. He gets a call and avoids it. And Spencer's like, hey, what was that all about? And catches him up on the night's events, but he doesn't seem surprised at all. She's like, what's going on? And he's like, we'll talk later. We'll talk about this later, and leaves. Fitz is back teaching and gives homework for the class as the bell rings. Spencer says she'll meet everyone later for lunch. Fitz sees that she's sitting alone and asks if she's okay, and she's like, yes. She gets up, but stops and turns around and says she didn't get into Penn and she'll be in the first in her family not to go. And I'm completely broken. This can't happen. Fitz swears to not say a word to anyone else about this, but will help her with her college essays. Hannah talks to Emily about Paige's connection with Shauna and that she's probably in the loop. Emily's like, her shoulder feels awful, and talks to Hannah on the phone and says that her shoulder feels awful and starts looking in her medicine cabinet for help. Hannah finds her mom's bag under the sink with her Manolo's dirty inside and a toothbrush in it, caked in mud. Emily says, I gotta go. Paige is waiting, and grabs pills from the cabinet. At a karate studio, it's not karate, martial arts. I forget what it actually is.
Yeah, they say what it is, right?
Mm-hmm.
I don't remember which martial art it is.
I wrote down karate and then I was like, oop, that's wrong.
But it's the same one Holden does.
Yes, because he goes there. Mm-hmm. But it doesn't really go there from what we hear. Aria asks an instructor about Holden, and it's like, oh, I heard he teaches here or something. And the instructor's like, oh, really? That's news to me. He's barely around here, but ends up talking to Aria and gets her to sign up for private lessons. Ashley enters Hannah's room or is working on homework. She asks her about Hannah asks Ashley about her Manolos. Ashley gets defensive and tells Hannah to finish her book and go to sleep. Time for bed. Lights out.
Good parenting.
Good parenting is throwing the blanket over the birdcage. Hannah is outside Spencer's house and leaves her a message asking where she is, that she needs to talk to her.
I just thought of you the other night. We were walking our dog. It was dark outside, and Brenton looks at me and goes, do you think nighttime is just God throwing the blanket over us? Throwing the blanket over our birdcage.
Time to go to bed.
And, I haven't stopped thinking about it since.
Good night.
Good night. I don't know which God you believe in, but I believe in the one that covers me with a blanket every night.
Tucks me in. Hannah's outside Spencer's house and leaves her a message asking where she is and needs to talk to her. Jessica DeLaurentis sees her and calls her over to talk. We see someone watching the two of them from inside the house. Hannah looks up in the window as if to see if someone's watching, but no one's there. They hear a noise and Jessica's like, oh, that's just Tippi the bird. That's a parrot that lived with my grandma. And Tippi sounds strangely like Allison. Fitz and Spencer discuss her college essay. He's like, colleges are looking for how can I say this? Emotional stability. This is a little bit too much. I think this would be a mistake, sending this in as is. And Spencer's like, well, my friend did die and I did have an emotional breakdown. And he's like, well, in this case, honesty might not be the best policy. Spencer gets angry about not sharing her full self in her paper. I had quibbles with this, but then literally right before we came on, there was on Twitter, I saw a New York Times guest column from literally the day before talking about lying on college essays and to not talk about your mental health struggles and not giving too much of yourself away, and how applicants are pretty much inclined to do this because you'll be like shut down.
Yeah.
They'll they think it falls under like TMI category almost.
Well, and it also they want the highest number of like successful graduates, so they paint people in these like horrible buckets.
Yeah,
it's all discriminatory and fucked up.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, because you also wanted to like make sure you garnered enough sympathy. So it was my cousin, when I wrote my personal statement, she was like, you should talk about your dad leaving or whatever, and I was like, it didn't really fucking impact me, you know?
Right.
And she was like, no, but then that's like you turned it into like and I overcame this thing without right. anyone, but you know, basically like show how strong you are. And I was like, I didn't do that because I thought it was bullshit, and you're basically lying. Like I didn't care that bad. Not in like, oh, but you know, it didn't, whatever. And I do think that is why I had a harder time getting into one of the schools I wanted to get into, because I didn't write an essay that painted me as a victim that overcame something.
Yep. Guess who did?
You?
Yeah. For, I don't know if it was on my first round of essays, but at least on the one, I think it was only for when I did I would like to be accepted into your school for Santa Barbara after I got rejected the first time.
I didn't even know that was a thing you could do.
Yeah.
Or else I would have gone to Berkeley, I think.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yep. I at least one essay was definitely about the year that my dad moved out of the house.
Oh. Yeah, no, I didn't. I wrote about like I went to Girls State, so I wrote about like I don't remember what the prompts were.
Right.
But like I wrote about my successes.
And
how proud I was of them. But of course, you know.
Nope. It's they really entice you to play the game. And I'm like, oh yeah, sure.
No.
Yeah.
I refused.
Messed up. Yeah, which is great.
But is it? I didn't get into the school I wanted to go to.
No.
I wouldn't have met you though.
That's true.
Life always works out, I guess.
Yeah.
I'm just the most earnest and perfect.
That's right.
Just like Spencer.
Yeah.
Spencer.
Yeah. It sucks. It's stupid.
Yeah. The whole college admissions process is a fucking mess and nightmare, and just a discriminatory practice.
Yes, absolutely. The fact that like it even behoove you to write a sob story for applicants, but like not that much.
Yeah, to not credit the people that are like dealing with so much more. Yeah. Like to me, it was like my sob story wasn't sobby enough to write about. Like, you know what I mean? Like I was like, eh.
Yeah. And mine like shouldn't have been either, but it fit into that category of like, well, I overcame this. So, yeah. There you go.
Interesting. Isn't it all interesting? The more you know. Maybe things have changed in the last decade plus, but I doubt it.
In that article, they quote that Stanford settled a lawsuit for discriminatory practices against kids with mental health and just mental health discrimination about it in 2019, and Yale has an ongoing one. So isn't that interesting? Look forward to going there, Paige. Maybe she's part of that lawsuit. Aria is taking martial arts lessons with the instructor, Jake. We learn his name later. I had only noticed it later. Tells her to trust him, and Aria gets angry and like frustrated with him. He asks who she's afraid of, and Jake says we can't defend ourselves if we don't feel safe in our own skin. And he's like, do you feel safe? And she says no. Excuse me. Hannah talks to Jessica about finding Allison, and like when like they like dug up Allison's body essentially in the back. Jessica's like, I saw what was left of the body and the yellow blouse, and that was enough.
I just saw the yellow blouse, and that was enough.
Oh,
she
that's
didn't
what it was.
see the body.
I thought she says I saw what was left of the body.
No,
because it was like
I didn't need to just see what was left because it'd been a year or whatever. I'm pretty sure she says she just saw the yellow top.
Right. Okay. Either way, like even you wouldn't.
The yellow top was enough to identify her.
That. Yeah, that was essentially what.
Yeah. What
same thing.
Said.
Yeah. Yeah. And then she has a flashback. Jessica is out to eat with Allison. Allison encourages Mom to have a drink, and she won't tell Dad. Like, that's all right. Which Jessica then obliges. Jessica says the top was way too revealing, and Allison's like, I like the yellow top. Allison says if it's okay if I stay down by the shore until Tuesday, all the friends are going to come down like slowly, and we're going to have a nice big sleepover. We need to get away. Jessica's like, I don't like you being all alone in Cape May. Allison pleads, and Jessica says no. Allison then clenches and stops breathing. Jessica's like, don't do this here. I will let you fall face first on the concrete, and like yells at her to breathe. Jessica then folds and says, okay, one night. And Allison like breathes and is like all happy. In the present, Jessica tells Hannah Allison perfected that stunt when she was 5. Hannah says Allison never invited us down there. Jessica says, I'm not surprised. The beer bottles I found made me wonder if she was running with an older crowd, maybe a boy. Aria continues with her lesson. They finish up and Aria thanks the instructor by kissing him. They're both shocked and Aria runs out frustrated. Aria is driving home and is stopped by construction happening. She sees Mona speaking with a cop, so then she drives over and yells to Mona, hey, we're late, get in. Mona then looks angry at her but follows along. In the car, Mona says, I was listening to the cops behind him as a decoy. Aria yells at her and Mona says, I overheard the special investigators which are back there, which is they were talking about investigating Wilden. They taped up the south shore of Torch Lake and found Wilden's footprints there, and they think he was there the night he died. They also found footprints for women's heels, high ones, and Mona says, like the ones Allison liked to wear, which we all know is Manolos. Toby visits Spencer. He comes clean on giving A the RV. Spencer's pissed. Toby pulls out a transcript from Radley about his mother that was written on the night she killed herself. Emily's in the girls' switch to separate scene. Emily's in the girls' locker room in her swim gear. She grabs a pill and goes to take it, and we see someone watching her. She goes to look around, but doesn't see anyone. Shauna then rounds the corner asking for a swim cap and asks Emily why Hannah thinks she was buddies with Wilden. Emily's like, I don't want to talk about this before a race. I don't have time. Shauna's like, I already tried to talk to Paige, but she was really in the zone. Heard about the Stanford scholarship, and there's only one spot left, and, well, may the best girl win. Shauna leaves, and Emily pops another pill. Spencer reads the transcript as Toby cries. His mom wanted to catch up on lost time with her son and was having a turnaround. He says, does that sound like someone who stole a key that day and jumped out the window? Spencer says maybe she lied to her doctor. Toby says we never received that report. We never received that report here. That place is covering something up. Spencer tries to talk some rationality into him and that A may be providing false info. Aria then knocks at the door at Spencer's door, and he makes Spencer promise she won't tell anyone. Emily gets ready to go for the swim meet in obvious pain. She's up on the diving board. She starts seeing, or whatever, they're diving boards, right? Whatever, the little
things they launch off of.
Yeah.
If you're a swimmer, please let us know.
Whatever.
We're ignorant.
Yeah. She starts seeing double in the pool, and completely gets spun around and hits her head on the pool edge and knocks herself out. I hate head things. It really is eee. Emily wakes up on a stretcher as the paramedics wheel her out, asking how she hurt her shoulder. She says riding her bike. Aria vents to Spencer about Mona and kissing her instructor. Hannah walks in with Tippi and describes her as Allison's roommate in Georgia. Tippi won't talk, though. It's like Michigan J. Frog. Hannah says Allison was seeing someone in Cape May. Aria says Wilden. Hannah says, we don't know that for sure. Aria says that shore is now a crime scene, so you can't really go down there. They discuss the high heels at the crime scene, and Hannah asks if it was muddy that night. Tippi says, hey, board shorts, did you miss me? Tippi then sings a song, and Aria wonders what the song is. Hannah asks Spencer for help if A comes for her mom. Hannah comes home and asks Ashley if she was in New York the whole time that she was gone, and did you come back to have it out with Wilden? Ashley's like, I did not kill Detective Wilden. Let me be perfectly clear.
Just like Bill Clinton.
Exactly. I did not. Well, she did have sexual relations with that detective. Spencer is with Tippi in her room. Tippi continues to make phone sounds and saying hello and hi. Spencer then realizes that they are phone sounds and calls Hannah that Tippi is singing the dial tone for a phone number. Aria is texting. Autocorrect. I wrote testing.
She's testing us.
Testing on her couch. Texting. As someone walks by her window, Aria notices that someone's outside and opens the door to find Jake the instructor. He has to come in and says the kiss took me by surprise and that he's interested.
Jake the instructor?
Yep, that's what I wrote. Spencer, and it's that he's interested. Spencer calls Aria and he's like, oh, I can see that someone's really trying to reach you. We can just do this another time. Aria agrees to coffee and he leaves. Nice guy. Emily and Paige catch up. Emily confesses to Painkillers and tells her about saving Mona and Aria from being run over. Emily says, I want to get away from here and start over, and Paige comforts her. The other three friends call the phone number from Tippi. They don't get an answer, so Hannah and Aria say we should record the bird to make sure we got the number right. Like, let's go upstairs. So they walk upstairs to find Tippi gone and the window dispenser's room open. Ashley drinks wine alone in the kitchen. She grabs her shoes and wraps them in newspaper. We see someone watch her from outside. She goes to the window and is startled by a flash. Emily then steps outside. A gloved hand cuts a piece of Cornish game hen and places it in front of Tippi to eat.
Ashley stepped outside, right?
Yes.
I think you said Emily.
Yes, Ashley steps outside. Emily does not have Manolos that we know.
Yeah.
Yeah, they have not been revealed.
They're like $1,000+ shoes usually, so I don't feel like that's really like Emily's vibe.
Got it.
They're not practical enough for Pam to buy them for her unless she's like maybe she's like going to like prom or something, but like even then, I don't know.
Might not work.
Who attacked Mona in her car?
I would say
Are we at a Catholic mass?
Amen. Two theories. Two sounds.
You made a lot of mouth sounds very quickly. Oh, I hate it. Please stop.
I could see Team B coming after her. Like, I could see Jenna trying to kill her from the back seat. It's like thinking that she had tried to kill them with the fire at the lodge.
Okay.
Oh, wait, no,
because Mona was in there.
Sorry. Not that. Just escalating enemies, right? You escaped.
Okay, got it.
Or it is leader of the A team coming to like silence her because it's like, you know too much.
Okay.
Potentially Cece, potentially Allison.
What?
Potentially Lucas.
Okay.
Lucas does a lot of dirty work.
He does. He does anything for money, I feel.
Really?
What does Ashley know? What is Ashley?
I think Ashley's whole thing is she was actually called there by Wilden. And so knows that someone got him. But
doesn't know.
She's
who.
being set up. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. What do you think happened with Toby's mom?
This is I haven't the foggiest. Because it's obviously setting up that she was killed by someone or, yeah. And because it's connected to all these, unless there's like another relationship happening between parent couples, or there's like some sort of money negotiation or things going on. I just have no idea because she's so we haven't really heard about Toby's mom until this season.
Beside the fact that she died
last season. Yeah, exactly. It's like she's not around, and when she died, his dad remarried, and now we have Jenna. We don't even know Jenna's mom. So yeah, I don't know yet.
Okay.
I'm sure it'll be, kind of important just to move the A plot along, or not plot, but to drag Toby through it.
Okay. Shouldn't Ezra be helping all of his students write their personal statements instead of teaching them about books that relate to his personal love life?
You're right. Maybe. Well,
he teaches English.
Yeah. Do they do that? I guess maybe that should be a thing. Did you not
write your personal statements in your English class? We reviewed ours.
I don't know if we did. Yeah, that should really be a lesson.
They at least like edited them for us. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Rather than like you have to do one-on-one tutoring.
Was that what you did?
No. Well, I don't know, for college essay. Maybe. I did have tutor for math. I was horrible at math.
You had a personal tutor for math in high school?
What
was it like to have money?
I had a personal tutor. Went to this woman's house that lived down the street.
I called my uncle who taught math at a local elementary school, but like 8th grade, and he was good. I mean, he was fine, but then I'd be like, what the hell is this? Huh. Must be nice. Every leg up. Money.
Really?
Y'all got money.
And you got the better grades between us.
I graduated high school with a 4.06. It was the highest I could get with the GPA or with the classes I had. Not the second semester though. I gave up. I think I let myself get a B in honors physics. I know, scandal.
Yeah,
because I was really going to use honors physics. I just had to stay above a 3.0 or a 3.5 or whatever to keep my. So I was like, goodbye.
Chillin'.
Enough about me. Enough about my life as Spencer Hastings. How do we feel about Jake? I really wasn't a Spencer. I wasn't quite that.
Yeah. Yeah, Jake seems all right so far. He seems very nice. He was also just like, I don't want to bother you.
Yeah. Also,
So
like,
I hope
hey,
he
do you
is-
feel like this is inappropriate? Like,
Right.
if it is, like, I totally understand.
Oh, right. Yeah, I didn't write that in my notes. He totally goes,
If you're not comfortable with dating like someone who's also teaching you something.
and
like
it's
a
just
teacher.
like, buddy, she is.
Let me tell you what her turn-ons are.
Are you instructing me on something?
Another bonus to the Aria and her martial arts lesson.
Mm-hmm.
She is in fact wearing what I believe are platformed high-heeled sneakers,
Love it.
which were very cool.
At the time.
I mean, I think they're still pretty cool. I wore them
Mhm.
for one of my friend's weddings for the reception because we could change into like Converse like shoes. So I got heeled ones because my dress would have been too long. It's a mood. It's a vibe. It's a scene. It's definitely of the times. Also,
She's
to
killing it out
do
there.
fitness in them is very like blogalates.
Okay.
Like she would post videos sometimes wearing heeled sneakers, and I was like, how?
How are you doing
I mean,
that?
actually, I guess you just don't go up on your toes for anything calves related, and you're fine.
Oh.
But it's it's a move.
Mhm.
Also, she just springs a kiss on him, and I love it. What if she dated people that were appropriate for her? Like I'm
Right.
into it.
Mm-hmm. And Aria is just like, I'm ready. I'm ready to move on. So we'll just try now.
Well, she was just like,
I'm in the moment.
he's close to me, okay, and I kiss. Oh God, what have I done? What have I done? And I relate to that as a person who can be not that, but like a tad bit impulsive. When you're like, I'm just gonna do this thing, and then you're like, Jesus Christ, why did I do?
What'd I
this
do?
thing?
What'd I do?
I gotta go by. I've never.
Oh God, not again.
I've never spontaneously kissed my martial arts instructor, but you know,
She's just like, not another teacher.
it is a very different relationship, though. I think you know.
Yeah, I'm all for it. Please, Aria. Find yourself someone else if you need to.
Whose side is Mona on, and why? You still think she's the same as last episode? You still think she's
Yeah. I don't think there's any change there. I think she is on her own side. But it is convenient right now for where things are at to work with the friends because things have kind of gotten blown up in her neck of the woods. Like her underling is not working for her. She got double crossed. So like she's in a vulnerable position and she knows it. And she thinks Redcoat's after her because she goes, oh no, it's her. So she needs protection.
Will Emily get in trouble for taking pain meds and swimming?
Yes. I think more in that there's going to be ramifications for her not swimming well. Not as in the so much of the taking drugs. I think it's more like how we don't know what the stakes were, but it seemed like as Paige was being, it's like you need to have a good record for the rest of your swim team. And is this the same year that she was? No, HGH was the year before. So, but when did Paige get kicked off the team as well? She's had a rocky swim career the past couple seasons. So I think it might also be hard and maybe a bit of a stretch for her to try and get a scholarship, but who knows?
Yeah.
I don't think that's right. Listen, I watched Emily swim out there and I know she's one of the best. Misty Franklin. Missy.
Good God.
Jesus Christ. Missy Franklin thinks she's good.
Let's talk about Tippi the bird.
And how?
Never heard you more excited in my life. Who let Tippi out?
Oh, who took Tippi?
Tippi.
Who tipped Tippi? Who took Tippi?
Yeah.
I think because it's related.
Well, there was an open window, so was Tippi released and came to somebody, or was Tippi taken?
Or here's a really easy way to think about this. I know Melissa isn't supposed to be at the Hastings house.
Okay.
But
she's hiding under Spencer's bed?
No, she could have just gone into her room or something.
Oh.
And they not notice and like open up the window to make you think that someone went out the window.
someone or something.
Both.
You think a person went out their second story window with a bird?
That's what it's like with Spencer's window being open.
I thought it was just that the bird, like someone opened it and opened the window and the bird flew out.
Oh,
I thought that's what they were indicating, and that the person like left through like a door.
Oh, I was assuming that they had like climbed in through the window and took the bird.
But it's on the second floor.
Yeah, like a ladder. A has done more ridiculous things.
I guess.
Zip line.
I like how I'm very hung up on this detail. Right. I'm like, no.
Yeah, they have their ways. Grappling hook.
So you think Melissa let out Tippi?
Took Tippi.
Took Tippi. Melissa took Tippi.
Took Tippi. Okay. Melissa took Tippi. Melissa took Tippi.
Jesus Christ. Any final thoughts on this episode before you take us to your theory corner?
Oh, no, I like that Ashley is now in this like weird position of like doing something even worse that like potentially that Hannah doesn't know about. I love it. And then it's just Hannah, go to bed. You can't ask me these questions. I'm a big fan.
Yeah, I like when we're like, what's Ashley doing again? Because Ashley is a criminal.
Yeah.
And I love that for her. And I support her. We support women's rights, but we also support women's wrongs. And Ashley is fully in the women's wrongs category.
Yeah, we love it. It's big fan.
I love her.
Yeah, me too.
She's the only mom who's like trying to do something, you know?
Yes. Ashley just is the parent with the best plot lines too. Just always getting caught up in shit.
And she's always like involved with the girls. She's very involved.
She's always just like, we should be talking to our children about what the hell is happening. I don't think it's what they're telling us. And the other mom's like, yeah, maybe. I hadn't thought about it.
Yeah.
Ashley's like, I see it. All right. Well, speaking of seeing things.
I don't like where that's going. Good God.
Let us step into
You got the giggles now. You started this episode so angry, and you've come full circle.
Yeah, I do.
Why are you looking at me like that?
I had to catch my thoughts up. Okay. So,
Jesus Christ.
just ground my brain to a halt.
I have to edit out some of this.
Okay, so confirmation things that we got from Mona is that we know the friends all now know that like Melissa and Shauna and them are on the A team, but that they are afraid of Melissa. Which would put Melissa in some higher seat of power hierarchy within there. So Melissa seems to be running Team B at the very least.
Okay.
Making her one of the front runners for Redcoat.
Okay.
And that Redcoat is, if she is Redcoat is using, excuse me, these like Team B and things to try and like get back at people.
Okay.
While manipulating Team A to try and target the friends who are friends of Allison because of like potentially some sort of perceived slight, or not perceived, because knowing Allison, some sort of slight.
There was a slight, I'm sure.
Something she did. Still information we have yet to uncover about the full nature of Allison's relationship to Melissa, and Cece also in that bucket. Which I still think Cece is on Team A and is potentially Redcoat or leader of Team A, running things because of like the way she visits Mona. I don't know if Mona... I know Mona says she doesn't remember everything, but I think Mona maybe has a sneaking suspicion that like the things she was receiving were coming from Cece.
Okay.
And if Cece was going to visit Mona, I think Cece was potentially talking to her about like, here's Oh, wait. I forgot a crucial piece of information because Mona, when she sees Allison come in, she says, I did everything you asked. So was maybe already receiving directives from an Allison, quote unquote, or Cece in general. So maybe some of that lying by omission that I was mentioning was, hey, I've actually been working with Cece closely for a while, and Cece asked me to do this specific thing. So maybe was seeing some directives there, which would then, if Mona is close with Cece, maybe like knock her out of the running for being Redcoat. I don't think that completely does, but that's completely plausible. Okay. So maybe puts her as second on the ranking for Redcoat as we know right now.
Okay.
You know, Jenna is a menace and has been able to do things. So like Jenna could still be doing things as Redcoat and would be that could be a reason why she got her hand on fire. A reason I hadn't thought about earlier is like she was dragging the friends out. So that could put her as third, and that if she is scared of Melissa, this is like a way of protecting herself from Melissa.
Okay.
As an insurance thing, to protect both her and Shauna. Now, Shauna's involvement, I still have no idea or heads or tails wise, because Shauna is now really in Rosewood all the time. Doesn't go to Rosewood. So like but worked in town. So like, what's that all about? I think Paige also knows more than she's letting on yet, but is still also not in the know of menacing and things like that. And so I think that will end badly for her. Lucas is, as we learned, is more culpable, as we know, but honestly had kind of forgotten about him for a while. But has maybe also in the running as a Redcoat as an A. As just, we don't always know his motives, and do we entirely trust that he was just being blackmailed? Who knows? That didn't come up with Mona. Mona didn't say anything about that. So potentially on the running as well. And I feel, one thing I do feel good about is one thing I do like the show doing well is the way that they seed in Jenna asking about Wilden, and then the way that they also seed in Wilden visiting Allison that night. In comparison, the things I did like about this episode, about the way they dole out mysteries, is like having the characters have this like back and forth. And then Jenna also being like, Garrett told me that. So how much do we even trust that too? I still think that's pretty credible there, that Wilden was probably also on the giant ever-growing list of seeing Allison that night.
It was a very busy night. Girly Pop had a lot of things going on.
Right. And that
means you got to add Wilden to your timeline.
Oh yeah. Right. I didn't. That's actually a good point, because we didn't see anything. I didn't add him, but I should, because it should just be like, where would he go? Maybe after Byron. She got visited all the adults at the end of the night.
They can stay out later because they're big kids.
And maybe he was visiting her because of whatever their relationship was, and being like, hey, you need to not say anything about this, trying to keep her silence. And I think that's also why Wilden was working with Team B.
Okay.
And like protecting himself. And then Team B also worrying about whatever Garrett was going to be telling the police to potentially implicate all of them. We still don't know what their bigger, broader connection is to themselves, or like what is that secret that they're hiding that other people are targeting them for? Because I do think that's very true. Like when Jenna's like, yeah, like it seems like everybody's winding up dead. So I'm looking forward to maybe learning that this season. But I think that's kind of where I'm at with things as we start season 4.
Just laying the groundwork. Any final thoughts on this episode?
I think that's it.
The episode before it.
I think that is it for this. We'll see you all next time. Goodbye.
Wonderful. Well, you want to do your plugs?
Yeah, let's do it. You can find This podcast, if you want to watch the video on YouTube at dead_ends, you can also find the audio version of this podcast on all your podcast platforms of choice at Dead Ends. And you can also find us on Twitter, where we'll be just posting updates on it. We'll see how long we keep that up, schedule-wise and when episodes go live. And then you can also send emails with like questions, comments, things like that to deadendspcast@gmail.com, and that's listed in the episode description for all the episodes.
All right. Well.
All right. If that is it, then thank you so much for joining us. And we're still here. We're going to find out everything.
Not if you don't like the info dump episodes.